Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second part of the agenda, which is creating jobs and work. So we basically would come into a contact, and we can see here that we have the scheduled job and the availability. So the view availability brings up a calendar within Lumery that shows client availability. So you'll see in a minute that it's up to your own business processes what you want to do here. But with client availability, you can come in and you can set their availability. It will let you schedule jobs if they're not available. You will be given a warning and you can bypass that screen. So obviously it's good to have, but I appreciate that sometimes it can be a bit hard to maintain. We can just click on this calendar and add new availability. And we can also mark them as unavailable, which might be, a little bit more of an important thing to capture. If you know that they're going to be away for 2 weeks and whatnot, you would come in here and you'd actually set this unavailability for whatever time period it is. We can repeat that weekly, every day, for 2 weeks. And we could save that and make Mary, the client, unavailable for work to be scheduled. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I'm going to go back now to Mary, the client, and we have this schedule job button here. So we can schedule this job, and then this pulls up. You can see a scheduler looking sort of pop up. And this is where we come in and we are basically getting the job ready for the schedulers. So again, some pretty self-explanatory fields. We have the job details. So say we want this job to be booked next Wednesday. It will be for an hour. This is a free text field. We can put in, whatever minutes we want here. We'll have a description, which is mandatory. She is not in Logan. She is in the Gold Coast. We have the address type here. So for the address type, obviously the client will default to the client's address that's stored within Lumery. An account, so this would be, say, a clinic. Just another location that would usually be a business that they'll be going to. So yeah, like a clinic or a doctor's or a physio. And otherwise you might have a separate location where you actually want to free type in an address for whatever reason. That's where they're meeting. And so we would put this in. So accounts within Lumery that we have created and we have set up. So we have like an allied health agency. So say, for example, that's where the job is going to happen. We would put that in there. For now, we're going to leave it at the client's house. It is a billable job. Travel areas metro. I think this is predominantly an NDIS thing, so I think that we'll just leave that there. We can make jobs recurring. And again, this is a fairly self-explanatory pattern builder. So let's say that Mary needs to have this every Wednesday, weekly, every Wednesday until the end of June. We have some options here to dispatch and accept per job. So obviously we maybe don't want to dispatch and have the whole recurring series be seen as one. So this is something that's defaulted to be selected. So we'll be scheduling and accepting each of the jobs within the recurrence individually. These additional fields are Ballycurra specific. So these are some things that we've had added in. If we were scheduling for a brokered service right now, this is when we want to sort of select whether the client is contributing any amount and whether we're charging a 10% brokerage fee. So these two fields here will basically determine if any extra service delivery records need to be created based on these figures here. Essential is just a checkbox that we were asked to add so that we can report on these sort of essential jobs. It doesn't actually do anything other than create this flag so that we can report on these jobs. So now we're moving on to our service details. So the delivery method, this is how the client will actually get charged and how the service delivery record will be created. So it might be something that we just need to confirm, Rohan, because I know that in the workshops we talked about how you charge for the worker's time. So if it's booked for an hour, but they're only there for half an hour, you'll only charge the client half an hour. So if that is a standard business case, then worker's actual time is the delivery method that you want to select here. That will create a service delivery record based on the time that the worker logged in and logged out of that job. Scheduled time means that it doesn't matter whether it went over or under, the service delivery record.
Sorry, yes? Amy, I might have to stop you a little bit here.
Yeah.
Can someone confirm with me? I would say our business process is if we schedule a 1-hour job for a client, and if the job is finished within 30 minutes, for some reason, we still charge the client for 1 hour, but pay the worker 30 minutes.
Okay, maybe that's where I was getting confused.
No, if the worker, because the client signs when the worker leaves, so as soon as they leave, the client signs and they end the visit, they get paid for that, and that's what we charge the client. Except CHSP. CHSP is 1 hour, whether it's 57 minutes or 1 hour, 1 minute, they get charged 1 hour. And if it's an hour and a half service, we charge them an hour and a half, whether it was 1 hour, 2 minutes, whatever. That's how CHSP gets charged.
Okay, great. So
thanks, Wendy. Does that clarify, Amy?
Yes, it does. So
you might have noted down.
No, I think that's okay. So that would just basically mean that if we're doing a home care package service, it's the worker's actual time that we want to be selecting as our service delivery method. This will mean that, like Wendy said, whatever the worker's actual time on site is what the client will be charged for. If we're booking in CHSP, we would just leave it at scheduled time. So for this client, we're going to go workers actual time home care package, and then the service agreement items. So these are all of the items that are available on the client's service agreement, their active service agreement. So if something isn't here that you are wanting to book in for, you would know that you need to go in and amend that service agreement. So say today I'm just going to book in some meal prep. That will come up. This travel chargeable again is more for the NDIS. It won't actually in your space charge travel, but we'll probably just deselect that anyway. We can see down here also that we have our tags now. So this is our tag that we'd put on the client earlier. It's pulled through to the scheduling screen because it's telling our scheduler that Mary would prefer someone who speaks Spanish. Okay, so we can also add multiple services for Mary. So say we wanted to provide 2 things at the same time, we could do that. But for this purpose, I'm just going to schedule 1. So now we are happy. This is our job. This is how we're wanting to schedule. I'm just going to, sorry, I'm going to jump back to the recurrence. So we also have the calendar view, which brings up a calendar. So if your occurrence is not, every Wednesday, if it's a little bit more complex than that, so like a Monday and a Wednesday, and then a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Friday, you can come into the calendar view and set your occurrence this way. Something to keep in mind though is you can't change the start time. So even though you can create this sort of a schedule, all of the jobs are still going to be created with that first start time that we input here. So that's just something to keep in mind. If they have different start times, then you may want to either create all of them like that and then go back in and edit, or you will just have to individually create those jobs. So if I am happy, I want to create my job. Oh, I have to select. Okay, I'm gonna deselect that because I hadn't done any recurrence, so it wasn't happy with that. I'm just going to create this job. Why is this? Deselect one day. Did it not like the fact that I brought up the calendar? Sorry, everyone. Okay. So now we get a contract warning. Basically, this is telling us that the client has insufficient funds against the service agreement for this service. It is something that we can override, though. It is just a warning screen. And it is something that is a little bit more designed for the NDIS, but it is just something that we have to have. We can use this function here to ignore this. So if we select all jobs, it will ignore warnings and update all of the jobs. Covered jobs, so we can accept warnings and update jobs within the remaining value for the client. So if we're setting up a recurrence and it comes up here because only 3 of the 10 jobs are within the budget, then we could select covered jobs, and if we hit no jobs, then it won't create any job. But from what I understand, we are happy for the most part to ignore this and move on. So this is how we would do that. Select all jobs, move that, and move on. Okay, so this is our next screen. This is our job conflict screen. So this will show 2 different things. It will show you if the client doesn't have availability, and that was the screen I showed you earlier, where you set the availability for the client. And if they don't have that availability set, you will just get this warning screen, which is why sometimes it's nice to maintain that. You will also get a conflict here if this client is already scheduled in for something else, and that will appear on here as well in a different section, and you'll get some overview of the job that they're actually scheduled in for that time. And then you can decide whether you actually want to save and just create the job anyway, or if you want to hit no and go back and maybe rethink how you're going to plan that. So we could save that. So what this is doing now is it's sending the information over to Skedulo, and it's creating those jobs bars. So now we are on this page. We have 3 things that we can do. The create offers, I will show this in a little bit more detail in the next session, just because we'll mirror the mobile app and we'll actually see how that works. But what this does is it actually sends an offer out to any available worker that suits this region and whatnot, and they can accept that job. So when we create offers, we can also choose who we want to send the offers to. So say if you've got 3 workers, you really need someone to do this last minute job, you could send, so if I add this, it adds this resource to actually ask those resources or our workers if they would like to take on this job. And then I'll show you that next week in the mobile app, how that comes through to them. And if they accept that job, they're then allocated to that job and it moves into the dispatched stage or the ready stage. But for now, we're going to, okay. And so on that screen that we were just on, there was another button for allocate resources, or there was another button for return to the job screen. So returning to the job screen would have just taken us here. And if we allocate the worker from that button, it pulls down this screen. Within the same window, it pulls down this screen for our resourcing. So I'm not too sure how what your scheduling preferences are, but if you know, if you want to come through this screen, or if you would rather have your allocated jobs here and pull them into the schedule that way. I'll show you both ways. So we can come in here, and what this is doing now is it's allowing us to allocate our worker to these jobs. The tag is coming up and we know that this worker has the tag. We can disregard all tags. So if there are no workers that fit the tags, we can just disregard that. And then it might give us some more options for workers to select from. In this instance, it doesn't. So in this instance, I'm just going to click on, we have our available resources in here. We only have one to select. So I'm going to select the Luminary worker. They move over into this selected resources box. And then we can allocate that. We also have, yeah.
Sorry, I have a question, Amy.
Yeah.
We had 4 resources or staff, but
yeah,
we disregarded all the tags, but why are the 3 other staffs not showing up there?
Okay. So that is probably due to their availability or the region. So let's have a look. Yeah, so we can see these resources are blacked out. What? The 16th. Oh, okay, yeah, so you probably should have.
Yeah, because the availability is there for Luminary worker and myself from 8 to 5 p.m. for myself. So I was just
Yeah,
wondering if it's the location, because I believe I set myself as Gold Coast worker as well.
yeah, you are there. Because
So,
this availability is actually showing us just the Gold Coast region as
okay,
well.
yeah.
But let me just have a quick look. It may. Yeah. You are a scheduler resource. Yeah, that might be something that we have to follow up, because you are marked as a scheduler resource.
Yeah.
Which is what I was. Your scheduler user type. Hang on, let me just see if this helps. Okay. I wonder if this will fix it. Come out of that job. Let's just see. Sorry about this. Bear with me. So you're available Monday. Yes. August. Okay, yep. So then this screen, we can allocate resources. Hopefully. Oh, no, there's no resource available. And there's just Lumery admin again. That's actually showing us a different, that was Lumery worker earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
25 all day.
What time's the job schedule at?
We're looking at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
On the 14th of the 3rd. I wonder if I can. Nope. Okay, we might just have to have a look into that, Teddy, as to why those resources aren't showing. I'm also wondering.
Yep, we'll note it.
Thank you.
Is it the resource that the logic wouldn't be the issue there? So.
Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. We'll follow that up and yeah, get to the bottom of why that's happening.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. So we're just going to come back to that screen and we're going to allocate resources. No, I don't have anyone. So I don't have anyone free on that day. Let's move it to this day. Let's see if this brings up what is going on. Sorry about this, everyone. I don't understand why that was showing people before and now it's not showing anyone. That is bizarre. 17th of the 3rd, goals client bill. Let's go to job details page. So by clicking on the job details page, what we should have just seen before is and so we can allocate it via here. Okay, interesting. So what this pulls up is the scheduler console within Lumery. And this is just a way to have a little bit more of a look of the worker's day. I suppose in that other screen, you just get the available resources and that's it. You don't get the bigger picture, whereas this is the bigger picture sort of place to come to schedule. And in here, we can see that we can actually allocate this job to Lumery worker or to Rohan. So if I select that plus button, that actually pulls that job into the schedule here that we can see. Okay, so we can see some unavailability is just cropped in there. I'm wondering if there's some sort of a delay with things that we're doing as to why they're not showing, but anyway, sorry. So yeah, so we've come in here, we've allocated it to Rohan. There's a few things that we can do in here. So we can push a notification through to the Lumery app, which pushes that through. They'll get a notification anyway when a new job is allocated, but we can push that again if we're maybe not getting a response. We could also send an SMS notification. So now this job has been allocated. It is in a pending dispatch position. So now we can come back to our schedule swim lane view. And I believe that we wanted to be on the 17th. And we can see this job here. So we can see the two different colors on the schedule. We have this sort of blue blocked out color, which means that it is dispatched. So it's ready for it's actually waiting for the, is it dispatched or is it ready? So it's ready. So this one is actually being sent to the worker and the worker has accepted the job. So that's sitting in a ready status. It's waiting. This job on Rohan here is pending dispatch. So this is actually pending us dispatching this job. So on the sidebar here, we have our different sort of stages of our job. And that's what we saw in that workflow earlier as well. So if I click on pending allocation, it will bring up all of the jobs that are pending scheduling. We also then have pending dispatch. Just something to note about this side is it keeps things highlighted. So you actually have to uncheck it as well. It's just something that tripped me up. So it's just something to keep in mind. You can show all three of those statuses. And if you just want one, you need to deselect the others. So we can come in here and we can see that these jobs are all pending dispatch. Something that we can do, so this means that the worker hasn't actually been sent a notification yet for this job. But if we're ready to dispatch the job, we can click it and we can hit this notify, which moves it into a dispatched position and notifies the worker. We can also select all here and we can notify or dispatch these jobs in bulk. So all of these jobs, if we were to notify, are you sure you wish to notify resources of the following jobs? So I do. And then if I refresh the screen, oh, I just got a notification there. It's maybe a bit impatient. Okay. Okay, so now it just keeps taking us back to this job because that's the first way that we navigated to this screen, which is why I do prefer working within the Skedulo web app. So now I can see that my pending dispatch is now at 0 because I've dispatched all of those jobs. They're all sitting now waiting for the workers to accept. And if we move into our dispatch screen, we can see a list of all of the jobs that have been dispatched, but potentially they haven't been accepted yet. And then we also have our ready screen, which shows us all of the jobs that are ready, haven't been completed yet, but the worker has accepted them. Now, if we come back up to the pending allocation, these are all of the jobs that haven't been scheduled yet. And so this is where I wanted to show you, sorry, I'll just, sorry. Yep, so this is where you can just click and drag onto the schedule as well. And that will move them from pending allocation to pending dispatch. So we can click and drag all of these on there.
Sorry, Amy, it's me again. So just going just one step back, you mentioned if the worker has accepted the job, it will then go on to ready stage.
Yep.
But I think part of the discovery session, we identified that we are not giving that functionality for the support workers to accept the jobs. So it's basically if we schedule them a job, they'll get notified.
Okay.
Wasn't that something that was discovered, Wendy? I do recall watching the video, but I don't think we are giving our support workers the ability to accept or not accept a job like a normal job, scheduled job? I know things are different within offer.
I know they were still looking at a few things for the support workers that they're not allowed to do, but I don't know if that was one of them, because I don't know if they'll be able to do it because they don't have work phones, or so I wasn't in that training for the decision.
Yeah.
You know, what was decided in the end, if we're going to give it to them or not.
Okay.
I would.
Okay.
Currently, we don't have a pool of staff that can just accept or not accept.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know you've got availability. We put it in there. We let you know, hey, we've just done it. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we want this system to be the same as our
Yes,
HCM,
correct.
isn't it? Yeah. So
Correct.
so Amy, yeah, just need to note down that as a build request,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
we did identify that, but I guess that decision was never provided. So
Yeah, it could. I do know that Alvin is still working on a little bit of the config on the mobile app side, so it could just very well be something that I have missed
Yeah.
in my preparation, and it might definitely be something that is still being worked on. So we'll just note that down, Teddy, and I'll follow up with Alvin after this and just make sure. And then that's something that we'll cover off in the next training session. And if it is something that we do need to maybe have some more discussions on with regards to build, then I'll get Alvin to reach out.
Sure.
But yeah, it very well could have been captured in that, and I've just missed that requirement during my prep, so apologies for that.
Sorry, what exactly are
That's
we
okay.
following up with, Alvin?
We just want to check if we are configuring, so within the scheduler app, Ballycara don't want the workers to accept jobs. So basically what I understand, Rohan, is that once a job is scheduled, once it's been dispatched, it moves to a ready stage. Yeah, so we're basically skipping that ready stage, not giving that worker that option.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
We will definitely follow that up. Okay, so were there any other questions on anything else that I've shown so far? Nope. Okay, great. So I just wanted to show you as well that when you're in a job, so when you're on the schedule here, you can click on any job, these three dots at the top, and we can open in new tab. This will just bring up the job and a little bit more detail that we can add into the job. Now this is our screen, so obviously we can see the status, it's been dispatched, we can see the time and the date and the start time of the appointment, a little bit more information just down here. Then we also have a few tabs like the schedule tab, which actually shows us where this is sitting within the schedule. And just something that I did want to show you is the task section. So this is something that is basically mandatory for the worker to complete or check off before they can close off the job. So if there's something that they categorically must do on the visit, then this is the way you would communicate that with the worker. So I know this is a meal prep. This is a meal. This isn't really gonna match up, but say must clean windows on must clean windows. So if we're going to clean, and then we can add a description in here, we save that, and what that will do is it will actually create a task, and they must check it off before they can complete the job. So this is a way to add sort of instructions to your workers and things that they really do need to take part on. The notes and attachments part on here is mainly things that the worker will complete on the mobile app. If they take any pictures, it will come into the attachment section, and not really something that you would do here. And we do have, this is also where we would come in, in the action section up here, we would come in, and this is where we can also cancel the job. If for whatever reason this job needs to be cancelled, we can come in here and we can cancel the job. We've got our reasons here and we can cancel. So if I just come back in to here. Pending allocation. So something else I wanted to show was that when we are in pending allocation, we have some options here. So down here is showing us the tag that we've associated with the client. And we also have this suggest allocation. I'm not sure if you'll use this, but maybe once you're a little bit more comfortable with the system, it could be an option. If we were, and sorry, I'm in the pending allocation section, so these jobs haven't been booked in yet. So if I was to suggest an allocation, what this does is it looks in the background for the best resource. Apparently there are no resources available to complete the job on the date, which is Monday the 14th of March. Listen date. So I'm going to have a look at Monday the 14th between 9 and 10 a.m. So yeah, you can see, follow up why we can't schedule it to Rohan, but we have a job here for the available worker. So let's go into this job. And we can edit up here when we actually want it to start. So say we actually gonna have this start at 10:30, and we'll save that one. Then we come back into our swim lane. Our time has changed. Whoops. And so if I suggest an allocation now, fingers crossed, the Luminary worker will come up. And you can see it's actually popped something into the calendar for us, a little plus button. So it hasn't scheduled it yet, but it's just telling us that this is where we think we should put it. So we can select that, and that will give us, and that will pop that job in for pending dispatch. We can click on the job, we can come up here, and we can dispatch it right away to our resource. And we can see that that worker was notified. So now if we come out here, I'm just going to quickly change some times on these so it actually works for us. So that's not 14, but I'll just change this last one here. Save. So I was just doing that because I also just wanted to show you, so we have that suggest option, which is for single jobs. We can also come in here, we can select certain jobs that we want. And then this little button up here called Optimize, we can click that. And then it gives us options on how we actually want to optimize this. So we're telling it we want to schedule these jobs and we want you to give us the optimal results. And for us, we're going to look at travel time. And if we run that, it then brings nothing got scheduled or changed. Please refer to the everything was scheduled successfully. Okay, so if we click out of that, here are our two jobs that's just scheduled in for us. So then we can come here and we can dispatch these jobs. Okay, how's everyone feeling about that? Is there any questions? Is everyone following along? Okay. Great. So once the schedule's a little bit bigger, you've got all your sort of data in here, this will obviously start to make a lot more sense and you'll be able to play around with it a little bit more. But you can see here, it is, you know, quite a typical scheduling tool where you can click and drag it, jobs around. We can reschedule them. We can put them down onto other workers. You can see if we put them down to other workers at the moment, it is going back to that pending allocation. But we'll just have to follow up on that, whether that step, like we were just speaking about then, about why the worker actually accepting it. You could probably skip that and just keep it as a confirmed job. And then, yeah, so then that is it for job creation. We can also create.
Can I
Yep.
quickly ask why
Yep.
it was showing as no protocol set in the notifications when?
I think there's something to do with the way you've been set up as the worker.
It didn't come this time. Oh, maybe we have to dispatch it.
Yes. So,
Yeah, on the top.
okay.
So do you think it is because of the way I'm set up?
Yeah, I do. I think this is more probably just to do with this notification type here. So it's just not set for your user.
not
So
set up. Okay,
yeah, so if I move that to a push notification now, okay, I'm not sure how quick this will be, you know, whether that would have saved that by now, but let's have a look.
Yeah.
So if I dispatch that, there you go.
And I did get the notification on the app as well. So yeah. Cool.
Perfect. Okay.
But
Yep.
sorry, another follow-up question.
That's good.
That first one that's scheduled at 9 a.m. that didn't go through. It doesn't give us. Oh, okay, we can dispatch that. I saw previously there's that dispatch button was not clickable, but it's clickable now.
I think it was just needed a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can dispatch that now as well. That's great. And there's that push notification. So yeah, I suppose this does depend on how you would rather work as a scheduler, and you'll sort of start to find your flow with it. I did just want to show allocating that resource from this screen. So I'm just going to give it one more try. Sorry. And see on the 15th of March. So allocate resources brings up this page. I still don't have any resources coming up there. I'll have to definitely follow up as to why that's happening.
What if we change the resource filters logic into OR? Will that make any difference? Just on top, on your left.
The what? Sorry.
No, maybe go down. Scroll down. Yeah, just on that logic.
Oh, the filters.
Yeah, that shouldn't do any. But maybe if we apply that to your right, I guess we have to apply that first. Oh, okay, it applies automatically. Yeah, it's still not showing any resource, even though I have put my availability. So
Yeah, you're available and the Luminary work is available and you're available. So yeah, I'll follow up why that's happening. It could very well be something that I am missing. It's very strange. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, great. I'm not sure if you noted that down, Teddy, but if we can just note down that when we allocate resources, it doesn't seem to be showing us the resources that are available. And we'll have a look. We'll have a look as to why that is. Because we did set, yeah, they are as a resource. They're active, primary region, everything else looks good. And it's frustrating because it was showing at the beginning of the session, but now that is not showing at all. So I wonder, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so was there any, are there any other questions, anything else that anyone wants to see again, or anything like that? And please feel free between this session and the next session to jump in here and start playing around. And if you've got questions at the beginning of the next session, that's absolutely fine. We can have a look. We can have a look then at that. But I guess it's with these sorts of things, it's the best way to learn is to just sort of get in there and have a go and have a play around. So yeah, have a play around before the next session and let us know if there's any issues. So I'll just come back to our swim lane. And I guess just a couple of other things that I probably should have shown you is that at the top here, we've got our filters. So this is our filters for what we're seeing on here. So at the moment, we're seeing Gold Coast, job status of pending allocation, and the resource type is the person. So if we wanted to change our region, which is probably no point because everything at the moment is being done in Gold Coast. So this is our Logan region and nothing's going on there at the moment. It's all happening in the Gold Coast. So I'll change that back to the Gold Coast. Pending allocation. And then, yeah, so basically that's an overview of how we schedule work within the system. We will just do a quick refresher at the beginning in the next training session when we've sorted out these resource availabilities, and I'll explain why that's happened, because it might be something quite important for you to know as well. And so now we just actually, I was going to have a break, but we're moving on to the last part of the agenda now. So we could probably just get through that if everyone's okay with that. Okay, so now it's really just number 3 on the agenda, which is around manual scheduling. Optimize and Suggest, which I have shown you. That was when we came in here.